Let me start recording. And yes, welcome again. Welcome to this international and intercultural event. We're going to learn a lot from you, Paloma, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and all your experience and talent with us. So this is going to be just a series of events that we're planning to start, especially in collaboration with Durham University. Thank you so much for this being the first step, right? The first step in this. So I'm going to present you. We have also Alberto Rosales. He is our mentor in in this
Hello, everyone.
Intercultural
Glad to
Forum.
be here. Thank you.
So thank you so much also for this linking, Alberto. So let me introduce you to Paloma. Paloma Landgrave, she's a singer with a multifaceted vocation and training, performance and art music therapist. She found her way of musical expression through the world music genre. Her training career has been developed at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, as a lyrical singer, the University of Vic in Barcelona, Spain, in the area of music therapy, the University of Paris Descartes in France, in the area of art therapy, the University of Seville, Spain, in the area of performing arts, and the University of Sophia Antipolis in Nice, France, in the area of ethnology of living arts, where she began to study in more depth on the subject of the process of adaptation of the rites and rituals of the Mexican Day of the Dead at an international level, and how it influenced and was influenced by other cultures of the world through live entertainment. In 2017, she participated as a speaker at the University of Nice in France, in the Babel Colloquium, Hispanidades and Beyond, Death as a Party, and other carnival expressions. A year earlier, in 2016, she obtained the third place in the annual Literacy Calaveras Poems. We're going to learn a little bit more about what is a calavera, translated as school, but with a different meaning as poems, right? We're going to learn a little bit more. Convened by the General Consulate of Mexico in Barcelona, which is how she decided to launch her project to write her first editorial work about the Mexican Festival of the Dead. And this is the book that she's going to present to us tonight.
It doesn't matter, today, tonight.
Yeah, we are around the world.
Around the world now.
Thank you so much, Paloma.
Well, I will be share the screen with everybody. I don't know. Okay. And okay. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So, okay. So. Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, good evening or good morning, everybody in all parts of the world that each of everyone looking us right now. I want to say thank you to the community of the University of Durham in the United Kingdom for this opportunity. And at the same time, I want to say thank you also for the invitation they extended to me as well as the facilities to make possible this conference in coordination with the Global Citizen Intercultural GCA of the university and the Intercultural Forum program also. Well, my name is Paloma Landgrave. I'm Mexican by birth, and one of my professions is to be a singer and performer. I have also developed and trained other areas, as they said before in the biography. One of them has been writing. And at the same time, I was participate in different performances, in different process of adaptation one of the most important and one of the most ancient traditions of my country, El Día de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, celebrated on October 28, 29, 30, 31, and November 1st and 2nd. This biggest celebration has always been an object of study as well of fascination of my part. And it's for this reason that this book has emerged like another project around of this tradition of my country, which I have called Dead Comes Singing, the theatrical orality of the Day of the Dead in Mexico. But before to enter of the universe of this book and what it represents, as well as all the variants that was developing around of the subject of the book and of the book itself, I would like very much to take a kind of link to today's subject with the previous presentations that there have been in these different cycles of the conference at the University of Durham. And the axis that make possible this approach and that makes us develop these synergies is precisely one term named ethnology. And what is the ethnology? Well, in a very general terms, basically is the study to understanding that they can give us our environment, grace of the different cultural manifestations of the ethnic groups, and that constitute our societies since the ancestrals and the currents also. Everybody come from one or many ethnic groups. And all these rites and rituals and all this ancestral knowledge that each one of these ethnic groups give us. It's the baggage with we constitute our societies as well ourselves today. I was studying music and lyrical singing in my country at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM. But I was fascinated when I was arriving in France, specifically in Nice, France, where I started a master degree called Ethnology and Performing of Live Arts. I mean, the understanding, the assimilation of the contribution to the different rites and rituals of many ethnic groups given us, but at an artistic level, I mean, since the point of view of the art and the theater, and all of these rites and rituals that constitute many particular forms in which each of us who belong to different ethnic groups, we can understand the world to help us to give answer our different questions that we have asked ourselves in our existence as human beings, since why we are here, where we are going here, to feeling us accompanied with our vulnerability, understanding our environment through gods, deities, through ritual manifestations, and all this with a very important artistic manifestations also. I found myself fascinated with this process because I was perceived that the most important celebration in my country, it's inside of this category, and that I could make a link with two of the things that I most like to do and make them reconcile with my professional work. I mean, my cultural identity reflected in my tradition, as well all the creative and artistic part in my professional life. It is that with this knowledge of the world, the knowledge of our environment or our perception of our life cycles, I was able to work with the art and the important role it has to represent all these concepts in an easily way. The subject that we talk in this book and in this conference also, it's a little delicate subject to touch on. Delicate because we as like societies have lost the naturalness that our ancestors had to be able reference to this subject, the lost. doing a biggest exercise of honesty. The truth is that human beings do not like to lose. The human being hates losing in all aspects of his life. But the act of living leads to losses, many losses that we will living through our days, and that will give us another way of perceiving our life, as well as new learning, and giving us a new teachings in our life and in our walk while we are still alive. The current situation that we're living now, something unprecedented in modern history, and which has been our new reality since 2 years ago. It's also intensifying and makes more difficult for us to touch this subject. It's not only the fact that we don't like to lose, we don't like the situations overcome us, we don't like losing the people we love, and that are part of our lives. And in the current circumstances, many people have lost people in their lives. That is why now I make a parenthesis at this point that at the end of this conference or conversation, as you want to name it, all the questions that you have about today's subject in reference to the traditions of my country, as well as about the book that we are talking also, and the subject of the dead that we're talking about, will be translated very kindly by Alberto, to avoiding me make mistakes with the information in the questions and in the answers or concepts or ideas, and above all, to respect each other in our feeling, because it's very important in these days. Okay. So I'm closing this parenthesis, and now we continue. So always been this kind of feeling when we're losing something or someone. The truth is that in ancient times, loss was much more organic. It was live and reconciled much more close our societies and our ethnic groups. We understood as ethnic groups that later became societies that the loss was part of a set of an agglomeration of everything around. And everything was not just us, but it was us around in this environment where everything came together in an almost perfect way, which allowed us not only to understand our place in this environment, but also to understand how our lives and our duels was developed. In that environment, everything was cyclical, and the cyclical has this idea of ending, a crossing through other stages, making changes, making modifications, and starting again in a different way. And the cycle repeats infinitely. This has been done by all the cultures of the world, and in terms of the mourning subject of loss, and especially the word that we are so afraid right now, and since 2 years, that every ethnic group has been close to this subject in the history of the humanity. I will not give you much details about the content of this book, because it will be very interesting if you could have access to it. And in a part of it, I explain precisely all these closenesses between some cultures. But then, if all cultures have mortuary cults and even mortuary art, why is Mexico the almost global and international representative of the culture of death around the world? Well, here I will do a mild spoiler of the content of the book. Basically, putting an example on the table, the culture of death for us in Mexico, it's very similar to our food, to our gastronomy. Many times has everything mixed in the same plate. I mean, We can taste the salty, the sweet, the fatty, um, and the spicy, and the spicy tastes. And precisely this mixture results in a particular flavor. So that dish could not exist without one of all these ingredients. The mixture of all of them is that assure us this particular result that can describe our food. The same thing happens exactly with our concept of the dead. Why? Because, well, for other cultures, it can only be seen from one point of view, which maybe can be the point of view of fear, or the point of view of sadness, or the point of view of homage and honoring the deceased people. For us, all the mixture of all these sensations together coexist in our conception of the dead. It's that make us understand the cycle and the experience in our cult of the dead, because it brings honor to our deceased people. It brings honor to our ancestors, but it also brings the color. It also give us the joy, that the power to feel that every year our loved ones are with us. It also carries the emotional cherish to say goodbye. It brings us the music, the words, the visceral charge that we express in loss also. Um, and that doesn't mean that the death does not affect us. We express it, of course. It's a theatrical experience in faith. We cry, we shout at the moment of say goodbye in the cemetery. Um, and at the same time, there are also the celebration with the music in another side. The Day of the Dead, we offer great fest and great banquets. And at the same time, we make jokes or we make double meaning comments. And at the same time, we show art to the others because we dress the skeleton dead elegantly with a big hat, with designer suites. We utilize also the designer suites. That is why our mortuary culture is so characteristic and recognized in different parts of the world. The secret is there is a bit of everything at the same time. Um, okay. Mm, that was very important to be able to have this introduction for all those who are not so familiar with this type of subject, and especially with the way in which we experienced this subject in my country. For those people who don't have much idea of what we are supposed to do in Mexico in these days, I will explain it to you in a general way. From October 28th to November 2nd, basically we, within our own cosmogony, we have the conviction that our friends, our family, or the people we love and who was live with us and was died, arrive in these days to visit us, to be able to share some time with us, and then we accompany them back symbolically to the cemetery. There are many rituals of preparation previously, and even for when this festivity has finished. It's basically like when you receive visitors at your home and previously you check that everything is clean, everything is okay, everything is pretty, because they are going to visit you. They are going to spend a few days with you. You are going to share with them your things, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your food, your drink. And then you are going to accompany them to come back to the point where they came from. In each of the 32 provinces of the national territory in Mexico, the arrival of our loved ones is prepared in different ways. There are so many days of celebration because each of our loved ones arrives in different days depending of the age, and the circumstances in which they left us. For example, on October 28 and 29 arrives the people who hasn't family or friends when they left the world. And then in the altars and in the offerings where we leave food, drink, and important things for our loved ones, we also put water. We also put purification elements such as salt, for example, and we give light with candles to all those people who left this world without having been accompanied by anyone, or who in life doesn't have any company. The 30 and 31 correspond to pets, like here, for example, and here. And the people who left the world in a tragically way also. For example, due to illness, or due to fatal accidents, or something that caused them to leave abruptly the world, and even violently. We also believe that it is important to give light and accompaniment to these people, because in our conception, many times these people are not conscious of their departure. So we're thinking that helps them become conscious and leave the world, closing the cycle they did here and continue their cycle in another part. In November 1st, it's dedicated to newborns, as well as to children who died of natural or health issues. And here, for example, the truth is that it's a very beautiful part of the celebration, as difficult it may sound, because in all the cemeteries of Mexico, you can see in the different tombs dedicated to children or babies, colored balloons or toys or candies or toy animals. I mean, they are dedicated precisely to children. And in November 2nd, it's the party dedicated to the adults. I mean, to the rest of the people who live this world for different causes and in different ways. Once the celebration is over at 12 o'clock at night on November 3, something known as La Alumbrada, it's happened in all the cemeteries of the country. That which means that people light the cemeteries with candles all the night to accompany the loved ones, give them light, and give them a good return to the place where they came from. Repeat this cycle again the next year. Okay, all the elements that I described at this moment, I am almost sure that you are visualizing them in your mind, right? Of course, because they are a very visual elements. They are easily visualized either by the medias that have currently taken up this topic, or also by description, or also with these photos. In general, the description of the altars, the offerings, the food, the alumbrada, the flowers, the lights, the candles, etc. All these parts of our celebration are very visual. I mean, easily recognizable through elements that we can touch, we can feel, we can see them, and the elements that we can observe easy. The core of this book that I'm presenting today, it's another part very important inside of this tradition. That part, it's not so popular, and also it's not so remembered by us, the Mexicans. The words. Yeah, they are an orality and a theatricality of that orality inside of this tradition, which it's very particular, and all this orality, it's represented by different elements that participate in the Day of the Dead. And it's present before the celebration, during, and after the celebration. This is how, within this theatricality of orality in the Day of the Dead, we can find from legends, myths, popular narrations, songs, as well poetry. All these elements participate at the same time as the visual part. For me, as a musician, as well as a singer and as a Mexican also, it was very important to be able to have a document that will help to understand this part that it's not visible, but you can hear it. For, for sharing with the people who are not from my country, for helping them to understand the existence of this context around of this celebration. And for the people from my country who could recognize it and who continue to preserve it in some way. Unfortunately, um, like many traditions around many ethnic groups in the world, globalization plays a double negative positive role for us. Negative because little by little, these oral traditions are lost for the new generations. But the positive part, it's that I believe that this same globalization, if it is using in a constructive way, can work for the correct diffusion of our traditions, preventing not only that they are not lost, but in other parts of the world, they can be recognized and appreciated and also preserved them. I was create this book written in Spanish at the moment, but I consider it important to be able to publish it again in English and also in French, because the Francophone community has been very interesting in this subject, especially of the side of the world cultures, which it's a topic that attracts a lot of attention. But I wanted this book not to be a scientific document. I wanted this book to have a balance between the people who do not know anything about the subject, who could be or not Mexicans, and people who already know something about this subject also, who feel respect and admiration for this tradition. And also that could provide them with memories, anecdotes from their own lives, from their own families and friends, and living those moments in another ways. My Mexican compatriots who live in different parts of the world are very present also, because this book represents some roots of their country, of my country also, which accompanies us each and every one of our days living in another countries, living outside of a brief moment, or because by our own decision or someone else, we have decided to make a second home in different parts of the world. For all these elements, I decided that the book should be in a small format, easy to assimilate and read for different type of audience. It has three fundamental axes. The first is the explanation of the tradition. The second, how this tradition is developing with the oral part. And in the end, in a kind of annex, there are a compendium of very, very entertaining and very, very, very funny poems. In fact, today I'm going to read you two of them. In some parts of this book, I talk about the iconic songs of this celebration, such as The Crying Woman, La Llorona. You was here, La Llorona, in the beginning of the conference. The Witch, La Bruja, and between others. And I talk also about our own traditions inside the Day of the Dead. Some of them have been the result of embracing the traditions of other places. For example, in Mexico, we ask candies also on those days, but we don't ask Halloween. We don't ask trick or treat. We demand la calavera. We demand the skull, the skeleton, and in different parts of the country, There are different rhythms and verses and oral ways in which you have to ask for la calavera. Later they can give you money or they can give you candies. All that, it's also narrated in this book as a form of preservation. I can't explain each one of the oral elements inside in the Day of the Dead. Unfortunately, we don't have the time, but I'm going to explain the part of the poems because, of course, I will have to read them in a few moments. So, those poems are called literary schools or calaveras literarias. And basically, they are a comic poems. It's a humor. It's a satire that many people outside of Mexico maybe could be considered like a dark humor. But for us, it's very normal. It is our way of trying to live with the idea of the cycle of mourning, the cycle of life and death. In those poems, we build a character, the skeleton, the dead, and give a human characteristics to this character. So we dress it and give it the elements that could humanize it. Then in those poems, we can make it, for example, the skeleton fail an exam, or the skeleton get divorced, or get married, or go on a trip, or lose the job, or different things. Generally, the poems to make have to do with a profession, plus the character of the school, plus a living character. The living character, it can be a famous person, or it can be a close friend or family member. And in these poems, we try to put the living character in direct situation with the dead. And depending what we want to make at the end of the poem, the living character can come winner in this game and makes fun of the skeleton character. For example, make it fall, or breaks it, or makes it cry, or in revenge, the skeleton takes the living character to the cemetery. At the end of the book, I present in an annex 23 poems or 23 literary schools that correspond to 23 different professions, all of them of my personal authorship. And now I'm going to review two of them as I promised. So I will be read the first one, and later Alberto will be explain the joke, because it's impossible to translate the feeling and the sensations of the calaveritas or literary schools, because it's very complicated to translate literary these poems. So I read the first one, Alberto explain it, and later I read the next one, and Alberto explain. Okay, the first one, it's for a dentist friend. Her name was Diana Costa, and Diana Costa was a friend of me. She was died in the last year, and in fact, this calaverita was created for her. So, calaverita a los dentistas. El mero 2 de noviembre, la dentista estaba contenta, porque nadie iba a consulta, ni a hacerse sacar las muelas. Todo estaba preparado para que se fuera de puente, pero a último minuto, que se le cae un nuevo diente. La doctora le blanqueará su enorme y macabra sonrisa. Ya de malas y sin ganas, le pidió que se sentara y que toda quietecita ni los dientes castañara. Era tanta la desdicha de nuestra bella dentista que echó todo su coraje en la paciente huesuda. Y en vez de blanquearle los dientes, uno a uno se los quita, para luego dejarla entonces toda triste y chimuelita. La muerte, a ver el trabajo, se tapa su cráneo y llora. Le dice, ándale y vente conmigo, pues ya te llegó la hora. Desde entonces el panteón ya tiene nueva dentista. y saca que saca los dientes a la muerte pesimista. So I give the microphone to Alberto.
Bravo, bravo.
Explain
bravo.
the joke.
So, as Paloma said, these are little poems. The intention of these poems is to be funny. It's telling you a joke. And in this case, it's a special mention to all the dentists, but in particular to Paloma's friends, of course. And in this little poem, the death, the character of the death is a client. So she arrives to the dentist because she needs some treatment on her teeth. And Diana, the dentist, in this case was a little bit upset because she was going into holidays and now she has a new client. So she was upset, she was a little bit angry, she was taking all this frustration with the death, and she was taking all the teeth out of the client, the death in this case. So at the end of the session, the death is the one who is upset. And as a punishment, the death takes the dentist to the graveyard. And it finishes with this this little, you know, this little funny joke that now the graveyard has a new dentist, and all the clients now of the dentist are the people in the graveyard. That is the joke.
It's so long for explain it, but it's more organic and more funny with when you listen to directly. Okay,
and I think another element is the rhythm that it has, right?
Yes, it's another element, and the way that you read them. I was said in another conference, and also it's the way that you singing the words. That it's not a song, but I believe that every person in the world, also if you speak in many languages, you have a tonality, you have a way to singing your language also. It's not only the verses, it's also the way that you singing vocal your verses or verses of the Calaveritas. And that is the point also. So the next one, it's Calaverita a los locutores y comunicadores. I mean, the people that was working in the TV shows. Okay. So, Calaverita a los locutores y comunicadores. Estaba la parca inquieta y aburrida desde casa, sintiendo que algo nuevo por hacer ya le faltaba. Yo quiero salir en tele y quiero ser bien famosa. Ay, tú chula, nada quieres, nomás es poquita cosa. Eso sí, yo nomás pido cuidar mi imagen personal y por eso prefiero salir en Canal Nacional. La muerte a un programa llamó y luego lo consiguió. Una entrevista otorgaba a una bella conductora, la cual era también una gran comunicadora. La huesuda hizo gala de todas sus cualidades, cantó, bailó y hasta habló de sus cosas personales. Sintiéndose una estrella, dio las gracias a la chica por ser persona tan bella y por esa entrevista deseada. Ya la muerte va sintiendo que la fama la persigue, pero lo único que gana son las deudas que consigue. Todo aquello que ha grabado, su bolsillo lo ha costeado. El programa fue un piloto hecho con mucha edición. Para ser francos, ¿quién querría a la parca en televisión? Okay, and now the explication of the joke.
So, this is another little poem, and it explains that the dead, now the character of the dead, is at home watching TV. And in this case, she has a desire to be famous and to appear on national television. So she makes a call, she gets an interview, she goes to a TV show, and there is a host, a beautiful host, female host, who interviews the dead. And she feels like now she's going to be famous and that she's the the most lucky person in the world because she finally made her dream. But at the end of the poem, it was only a pilot for a TV show who nobody saw. And then she has only debts because she was putting too much money into her TV career, that now she has more debts than money.
And now for us, it's very funny make situations that like that. So I'm continuing with the next of the conference. I hope that you have enjoyed these literary schools. Many people found them so funny and cool, and I want to start from this point. Curiously, the book has served as an inspiration just this point to develop many other artistic representations around its content, as well as the inspiration that the book itself provides. I feel very happy and very honored because, like an emerging author, I mean, this is my first literary work. I have never written a book or had it published before, but I'm feel very happy because this being the first attempt, and I hope that will not be the lastly, that was the first attempt to inspiration for different artistic manifestations. One of them, and very important, it's the Day of the Dead Festival by the Faculty of Arts and Design of the National University of Mexico. Every year, the University of Mexico, in its Faculty of Arts, organize an audiovisual festival around the Day of the Dead in Mexico. In 2020, this festival was digitized due to the issues of the pandemic. And I'm feel very happy and honored because in last year's 2021 edition, the festival took the title of this book as it inspiration. So the festival was called Cempasúchitl 2021, Dead Come Singing, in the same way as the book. And they spoke precisely of the sound traditions and of all the sound aspects that we can find in our celebration. With digital concerts, I also participated as a singer. There were conferences on orality by specialists, as well as the participation of Mexican community in different parts of the world making music, which I feel very happy about because I was able to have contact with the Mexican community in Japan, represented by Conchita Uraga and Cheli Taki, as well as the Mexican community here in Durham, United Kingdom, represented by Alberto and Frida, and with other members and organizations of Mexican community around the world. This is how little by little the book has become a traveling book, and singing has arrived in different places. Physically, at the moment, the book is in Nagoya, Tokyo, and Kyoto, Japan. It is also in Durham, United Kingdom at the moment. It was also in France, in Paris, and part of tour of the Fête de Mort à Paris festival in Paris, France, and also made presentations in Zurich, Switzerland, as well as in Freiburg, Germany. The book has become a kind of troubadour, a minstrel who has been traveling and singing with me and speaking about this tradition in different places. Its content being translated into different languages and for different persons also. And at the same time, we could not leave aside the digital part. That it's being a crucial part for this new normality that we are experiencing, where every digital thing takes a biggest importance and absolute relevance. In fact, if it weren't for digital, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So we have tried to move the book in different ways. The book served as inspiration to be able to work with a company on a digital level. an application dedicated originally to virtual tourism, but later also dedicated to developing a virtualized routes for different types of projects. One of them, the book and its content. Explorings Barcelona had today confidence and they believed in the potential that this book could have. And it was that we developed together a digitized route in which we talk a little about the content of the book. In a digital way, the book it's touching different points of the planet, and at the same time, that it touched those points. It's also telling us about the mortuary traditions of some parts of the world, with the option of solved trivias and riddles that can help us to discovering a little more into this subject. And at the same time that the internet user can also make their contributions on how they celebrate or how they talk about this type of subject in other countries and cultures. At the end are the purchase option for buy the book. The content of the application will become gradually even more complex, enriching it in different ways. Now, I wanted to I'm stopping to sharing the screen with everybody, and I ask Alberto if it's possible to share with us your screen, because
Yes, no problem.
and now at this moment I would like us to be able to share the screen with that people could see a little about how the digital user can enter directly to the Explorings application, and from there make this little virtual trip to different parts of the world. In some of them, the book has been present, and in others, not yet, with the intention that each place can have your little story, as well as its participation. And what are the future plans that we have with this project? Well, I will be lying if I said that future plans have a fixed order for the circumstances that we are living right now since 2 years. We have been setting ourselves the goal of being able to physically reach more places with the book, to be able to make presentations not only with the book, but also with the music of my country, performed by me, and to be able to make an artistic as well as cultural synergy at different points to take my tradition to other places. Another point that likes also about this project is that as an art therapist also, I can highlight the big importance of our perception of losing somebody as a powerful tool in the process of assimilation of loss. In fact, I get to make certain observations and certain studies when I was in France, and we came to this great conclusion. The book also works in some way, not directly, but as a complement for people who have gone through a process of loss. The truth is that I consider this topic very complete in many ways, and I will also like to be able to take this part of emotional and psychological complementation to different areas and to the different cultures. It's for that also that I was important for me to touch today on this topic, right in these moments in face of so much desolation and so much fear, with the possibility of perceiving the loss and working on it from other perspectives and other points of view can be not only enriching for people, but also healing in another profound ways. So our intention is precisely that: arrive to different places, share, continued making music, continued making art, and not only share and support the others, but also give myself the incredible opportunity to assimilate and learn from other contents and other cultures of the world. I went through that process when I worked closely with the Mexican community in Japan, when I built the virtual travel together with the people from the Explorings team and also with Alberto and Frida in Durham. For me, it is not only important to contribute to the others, but all those things in contact, in emotions, in perceptions that other people around the world can share with me, and we continue on this process. So, well, for my part has been everything in this conference or conversation. Thank you so much. And now we will move on to the questions and answer part, which, as I told you before, due to the nature of the subject and for avoiding the confusion in terms or ideas, and for the respect of everybody in this moment, I will have a wonderful help to Alberto and Frida for translate your questions for me, and in turn translate the answers that I will give you. So let's start it with the questions and answers part. And thank you so much.
Yeah, you can start writing your questions on the chat, and thank you also, Alberto, for sharing the platform with us. It is a lovely platform, and as you can see, it includes us how is that or perceived or celebrated, not only in Mexico but in other parts of the world. So if you would like to contribute also from your countries, it will be super amazing. So you can enrich it, right? As Paloma mentioned, we are here to learn from each other, and that's why we are looking for. Thank you, Sarah. It seems that Sarah needs to leave right now. Thank you so much for your attendance.
It was really fascinating. I'm sorry that I can't stay longer, but I would like to hear more about it.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, we're going to share the link of the platform, right, Paloma? We can share it here, so probably Sarah can check it later.
Yes, that'd be great.
Do you have it, Alberto, so you can paste it on the chat?
I've got it. I do have it. It was great. It was thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
So we have questions.
Hi, Ana Karen.
Hola. I am very happy to be here and to listen to your conference in English. I am very grateful that you are doing this all around the world, because now that I am in Hungary and I miss so much that particular tradition, it's been very interesting what you are explaining, that other countries don't have the cosmovision that we have, and trying to explain, it's very hard, and I think you have managed to do it more easily, or I don't know, very nice. I admire you profoundly, and I am very excited about this app. I will definitely go and join the journey. Thank you very much, and muchas felicidades. ¡Qué padre! And also, I remember now what I wanted to say, if I may. Here in Hungary, the Mexican embassy made a contest of calaveritas, the literary skulls, and the one I made was precisely as you said, that you can write to friends and family. Also, calaveritas are used to not criticize. Well, you can criticize, but like demand to institutions to do something about something.
That is true.
And that's why, and I made my calaverita demanding the Mexican embassy to to give more diffusion the Mexicans that we are here, and to get to know each other's. And where is the directory? Why cannot the death was looking for Mexicans in Hungary and couldn't find anyone. So what's going on with the embassy? So the calaveritas were very useful for that too, also to release that tension among I don't know, poor people or whomever. Anything that you wanted to demand to any institution, you can do it these days around death. And it's amazing.
That it's very, very nice that the Ana Karen says, because the calaveritas, well, for us Mexicans, it's using for it's multi-using in faith. Because you can funny with them, you can demand something like Sana Karen was said, and you can make jokes in for example in your job, in your school. It's in fact it's correct, it's not incorrect, it's not politically incorrect to make a calaverita, for example, for one professor in the university. You can put the professor in directly situation with the dead, and that it's funny, and for us it's very normal. You can make the same thing with your boss. And in this epoch of the year, since Dia de los Muertos, it's permissible to make all these kind of actions, and anybody will be angry with you, or anybody will be give a revenge versus you or something like that. It's nice. It's another form to express ourselves and to make a friendship more closely with the people. I know it's very bizarre, listen that, but for us it's the nature of our traditions and our ways of having a friendship with the others. And it's like that the Ana Karen says with this example. Do you have this calaverita or not in this moment?
Yes, well, I am in the computer, so I can look for it quickly. If you would like me to share it, I will be honored.
Yes, of course, why not?
Yes. And probably while Ana Karen is looking for that calaverita,
Yeah.
I would like to share some surprises that the team prepared for you. Do you see my screen now? It's a certificate of appreciation from the Ustinov Intercultural Forum. Thank you so much, Paloma.
No, thank you for everybody in Durham for this opportunity. I appreciate so much for giving me the facilities, for giving me your friendship, for leaving this opportunity with my work, and I hope that in the future that will be more opportunities for sharing with others my art and
For sure.
my personal vision, like Mexican in another places.
Hopefully this is just the beginning of this synergy, as you mentioned, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for this experience that you just shared with us. I will send you the PDF later. Okay.
And now I suppose Ana Karen has su calaverita.
Yes, I found it.
And I will be demands again Alberto and Frida to explain, not translate. It's impossible translate them, but explain the joke that the calaveritas Karen was written.
And I am very happy because we were tied. It was a contest, and there were two first places, myself and another one. and the embassy gave me this skull to have with me. This was my prize.
Wow.
It's a ceramic skull from Talavera, and it's very traditional, so I'm very, very happy to have it with me.
You're
So,
not Mexican if you don't have a school in your home.
of course.
This is the minus.
Yes. So, here it comes.
Yeah.
Calavera de retacitos. Contrariada la huesuda, a San Ángel visitó, pues buscaba una hada chula para lucir en su cantón. Le dijeron que la Karen en Hungría anda hoy, que con gusto se la manda, diciendo, pa' eso estoy. La Catrina un email a la embajada escribió, pidiendo de favor que la busquen de volada. ¿Dónde está la difusión? Pa' saber dónde la hallo. Pues la busco y pa' encontrarla puro fallo. No hay directorio, pero sí cálida atención, indicando el repertorio de los eventos en gestión. La calaca ya contenta decidió participar con tradiciones que neta invitan a pachanguear. El mero 2 ya lo sabe, la exposición acabó, con atole y tamales hasta su hada encontró. De la mano de Ana Karen se fueron al fiestón y ya quería llevarse a todititos al panteón. En mi tierra me conocen y saben muy bien quién soy, me saludan y respetan, me los llevo si no. Ya lo dijo la Catrina, para México se va, no sin antes agasajar más chocolate y licor. Entre huesos y suspiros se enredan los hilos, en retacitos es placer, soñar, crear y creer. Cansada de tanto tumbo, todo el vuelo se durmió, mientras tanto Ana Karen en país magiar se quedó.
Oh, that's very nice. And now the translation of New York.
Yeah.
Not
The
the
transcription here
calaverita.
doesn't make sense at all.
But the joke is that back in Mexico, the dev, this character of the dev, was looking for Ana Karen in San Angel, as far as I heard, so a park in Mexico City. And people told her that Ana Karen was in Hungary. So the dev has to search for Ana Karen and had to go into the web page of the embassy in Hungary. And there is no information there. There is no one who's telling you who is in charge. And the joke there is that possibly that's what really is happening in Hungary. And she's using that little poem just to explain
to point
this.
out that the embassy offers a directory of the Mexican artist, Mexican small businessman, Mexican, and there is no such directory. It's
And there
not
is no-
updated. It's like from, I don't know, 1980, before internet. It's not updated. So I have
Not
been
updated.
here for more than 1 year and my name is not in the directory. And I went to the embassy the day after I got to Hungary.
Yes.
So the death is like, where is the directory? There is nowhere
Yes.
no way to find no one. How
Yes.
how? The embassy, what are you doing? I will go back to Mexico because here I can't find no Mexicans.
Only Hungarian people.
Ajá.
Basically, that is the way in which you can use these little poems, as Ana Karen was saying, to complain about something.
And I read it at
Oh.
the embassy with the ambassador, with all the staff of the embassy.
Yes.
And I won.
That's the funny part as well.
Uh-huh.
Also, we write these calaveritas for politicians. So every time there is something strange or a strange situation happening with politicians, we make joke of them with these poems. And for example, in the UK, all the thing that is happening with Boris Johnson and his COVID party, all that situation, it's just perfect topic to make fun of it
Una calaverita.
with a little point.
Yeah.
So it's a way of expression in which you can complain or expose these I don't know, these strange situations.
Yes, with the funny side, right?
Yes,
With a funny
thank
side.
you, thank you. I'm so glad that I could share my calaverita in Cantando Viene la Muerte.
Thank you so much, Ana Karen.
Muchas felicidades y muchas gracias.
From
So,
Hungary to
I'm gonna
United Kingdom and the
yeah,
rest of the
for
world.
the world. I'm gonna stop recording now. A final clap for the video.
Yeah,